The fresh scent of spring wafted through the open window, filling the room with a sense of change and renewal. In front of the office hallway mirror, I smoothed the creases of my blouse, noting how my figure had changed over time. For a moment I closed my eyes, picturing my little Tommy probably throwing a tantrum at daycare, refusing breakfast and calling for mommy. My heart clenched. "It's okay, buddy. You'll get used to it. So will mommy." 3 years. It felt like an eternity since I last stepped into the offices of New Horizons Publishing. Back then, they sent me off with champagne, cake, and promises of "see you soon." Now? My heart pounded in my throat. My palms were clammy and my mind spun with doubts. What if I can't handle it? What if I've forgotten everything? What if... The familiar walls greeted me coolly. The office had changed. New furniture, unfamiliar faces in the corridors. I smiled stiffly, nodding at polite hellos. Many stared curiously, like I was some exotic creature. The marketing department, where I'd been a lead specialist before maternity leave, had transformed too. Once cramped in a tiny room, it now occupied a spacious area with floor-to-ceiling windows. And my desk, it was gone. In its place sat a young woman with bright red hair, typing furiously, biting her lower lip. "Sarah, you're here!" Linda, our marketing director, approached with open arms. "I'm so glad to see you." Her smile seemed genuine, but her eyes scanned my figure, my simple blouse, my face, etched, it seemed, with the exhaustion of sleepless nights with a toddler. "I'm thrilled to be back, Linda," I replied, trying to sound confident. "Ready to dive in?" "Of course." She waved toward a small desk in the corner. "Settle in there for now. Emily will show you the ropes. Things have changed a lot, but you're sharp. You'll catch up fast." Emily, the red-haired woman at my old desk, looked up and smiled warmly. "Hi, you must be Sarah? Linda's told me so much about you." Her gaze held no hostility, just curiosity and maybe pity. That made it even more uncomfortable. 15 minutes until the meeting," Linda reminded us. "Don't be late." She walked off, heels clicking on the new laminate floor. The meeting. I remembered those sessions, dynamic, with lively debates and ideas sparked on the fly. That was my element. I used to show up with a notebook full of notes and ideas. Now, at my small desk, I jotted down concepts for a new ad campaign for our biggest client, Success Stores. 3 years ago, we'd just started working with them, and my idea boosted their brand recognition by 30% in the first quarter. Today, I was ready to pitch a fresh direction for their brand. The conference room was packed. Some old colleagues nodded or hugged me, but most were strangers, their glances cold and indifferent. Among the newcomers stood James, a polished man in his 40s, radiating confidence. His crisp shirt and commanding presence said it all. He sat to Linda's right, where I used to sit as head marketer. "All right, team," Linda began, opening the meeting. "After a long absence, Sarah Johnson has rejoined us. Those who worked with her know her as a top professional, and we're thrilled to have her back." A few half-hearted claps. "Now, to business. Success Stores is planning a brand refresh for the summer season. We need fresh ideas. James, what have you got?" James stood and launched into his presentation. His ideas were solid, professional, polished, but predictable. I ran through my notes, certain my proposal could add the spark they needed. When he finished, Linda scanned the room. "Questions? Ideas?" I raised my hand. "I have a concept that could complement James's approach." All eyes turned to me. James raised an eyebrow, a condescending smirk flickering. "Go ahead, Sarah," Linda nodded. "We're listening." My voice wavered at first, but gained strength. I laid out a fresh visual identity for the brand, explaining how to tie it to customers' emotions and integrate it across seasonal campaigns. When I finished, silence hung in the room. Linda tapped her pen thoughtfully. "Interesting," she said finally. A good starting point. James, thoughts? Then James said something that hit like a punch. You seemed smarter before you went on maternity leave. He smirked. That concept's outdated. Nobody does that anymore. Laughter. Someone behind me snickered. Others coughed to hide their amusement. My face burned with humiliation. Well, Linda cut in, sensing the tension. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Sarah, you just need to ease back in, refresh your skills. For now, let's stick with James's proposal. The rest of the meeting, I stared at my notebook, letters blurring. His words echoed. You seemed smarter before you went on maternity leave. The day passed in a fog. Linda assigned me to sort through old campaign archives, work I used to give interns. I didn't argue, just nodded and buried myself in files, ignoring Emily's sympathetic glances. That evening, as the office emptied, I gathered my things and headed to the elevator. I felt hollow, emotions switched off. Even the thought of seeing Tommy didn't lift my spirits. Just the idea of faking a smile exhausted me. In the elevator, I ran into Rachel, an old colleague I'd been close with. Sarah, how are you holding up? She asked with genuine concern. I heard what happened today. Don't let it get to you. James is a known jerk, but he's good at his job. I'm fine. I forced a smile. Just adjusting. You know, after the meeting, he was discussing your idea with the creative team in his office, Rachel said. I think he liked it more than he let on. I shrugged. Doesn't matter. He'll take credit anyway. The elevator stopped and Rachel touched my arm. Hang in there, Sarah. I know how tough it is to come back. You've got this. A week passed. Each morning was a battle, against myself, against the urge to call in sick, to never return to an office where I felt like an outsider. Linda kept giving me menial tasks. I analyzed reports no one requested, wrote summaries no one read. At night, I rushed home to hug Tommy before bed, listen to his clumsy daycare stories, bathe him, tuck him in. Then, when he slept, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, trying to come up with something to prove I was still valuable. One evening, my best friend from college, Lisa, called. Sarah, you've gone quiet. How's work? I broke down, spilling everything. James's comment, the laughter, the intern-level tasks, the ideas no one cared about. Why don't you talk to HR? Lisa asked. Don't you have a whole department for this stuff? What would I say? I laughed bitterly. That I'm offended? That I'm not getting enough work? I'll sound like a whiner. You could ask about transferring to another department, she suggested. Or at least see what options you have. No, Lisa. I need to prove I'm still capable, that 3 years didn't turn my brain to mush. Why not look for a new job? I sighed. With my career gap, who'd hire me? Stop it. You're a pro. You're not the first or last to come back from maternity leave. It's normal. Normal. I repeated the word to myself every morning, staring in the mirror before work. It's normal to feel unsure. It's normal to prove your worth again. It's normal to start from scratch. But the next day, when I saw James's presentation for success stores, something snapped. It was my idea. Reworked, rephrased, but unmistakably mine. The one he'd called outdated. Something broke inside, the wall of patience and determination I'd built. You can't prove your worth to someone who refuses to see it. I sat at my desk, shuffling papers, feeling a new emotion, not anger or hurt, but cold resolve. At lunch, Emily approached. Sarah, you coming to the presentation? It starts in 15. Absolutely, I said, surprised by the firmness in my voice. I wouldn't miss it. The presentation was in the main conference room, packed with our department, company leadership, and success stores reps. James stood at the front, confident, smiling, presenting my concept. I sat in the back, watching heads nod, clients exchange approving glances. With every word, my resolve grew. When the Q&A began, James answered smoothly. He was a skilled pro, no denying that. Then a client asked, "How did this idea come about? It feels unique for your usual style." James hesitated. "Well, it's a result of team brainstorming. We explored new approaches." "It's my idea," I said, louder than I'd intended. My voice rang clear in the sudden silence. Every head turned. James paled, then flushed. "Sarah means she contributed to the discussion," Linda jumped in. "Our department shares ideas." "No," I stood. "I mean, it's my concept, pitched at last week's meeting. James said it was outdated, something nobody does anymore. Then he used it in his presentation." The room went still. Someone from leadership cleared their throat. The clients looked intrigued. "Sarah, we'll discuss this later," Linda said, her voice icy but her eyes furious. "Of course." I nodded and walked out. In the hallway, my knees buckled, and I leaned against the wall. My heart raced, my mouth dry. What have I done? I thought. I'm definitely fired. But oddly, the thought didn't spark panic, only relief, like shedding a heavy burden. The rest of the day passed in a daze. No one approached me, not even Emily. I expected a summons to Linda's office, but neither she nor leadership reached out. I went home determined to start job hunting the next day. But that evening, as Tommy slept and I worked on my resume, my phone rang. "Sarah, this is Helen from HR. Sorry for the late call, but I have a meeting tomorrow morning and wanted to talk. Can you come by at 11? Helen was a middle-aged woman with a sharp gaze and a kind smile. She offered me tea and got straight to the point. "Sarah, I heard about yesterday's presentation. I'd like to hear your side." I took a deep breath. "If you're asking if I called James out for stealing my idea in front of clients, yes. I know it wasn't professional, but—" "Hold on." Helen raised a hand. "Let's start from the beginning. Tell me about your return to the company." I told her everything. The first day, the meeting, James's comment, the laughter, the menial tasks, the stolen idea presented as teamwork. Helen listened, jotting notes. "So he said verbatim, you seemed smarter before you went on maternity leave?" "Exactly," I nodded. "In front of everyone?" "The whole meeting was there." She tapped her pen thoughtfully. "You know, Sarah, our company has a strict policy against discrimination. What you're describing fits that definition." "I don't want to accuse anyone. That's not your job," she said warmly. "Let me do mine. Tell me, are you happy in your current marketing role?" I hesitated but chose honesty. "No, I feel my skills and experience are underused, and after yesterday, I doubt things will improve." "I see." She made another note. "What would you like?" "Honestly, I don't know. Maybe a transfer to another department, or—" I paused. "Or try something new. While on leave, I studied digital marketing, took online courses. It feels like a promising field." Helen's eyes lit up. "Funny you mention that. We're building a new digital communications department, and they need experienced marketers willing to grow in a new direction." "Really?" Hope warmed my chest. "Absolutely. We also have internal retraining courses for employees switching fields. 3 months, no time off work." "That sounds perfect," I breathed. "Great. I'll address the marketing department situation with leadership. You fill out the course application. I'll send the form. And think about transferring to the new department." I left her office feeling lighter, as if a weight had lifted. For the first time since returning, I believed things might be okay. The next weeks were tough. After my HR talk, the marketing department shifted. James avoided me. Linda was coldly polite. But work got better. Real tasks, invitations to discussions, requests for my input. The courses started too. 3 evenings a week, I stayed late, diving into a new field. Balancing work, study, and motherhood was grueling. Sometimes I fell asleep at my laptop, checking Tommy's drawings while studying SEO. But each day, my confidence grew. My skills sharpened. My eyes sparkled when I told Tommy, "Mommy learned something new today." 3 months later, I earned my internal certificate. A week after that, Helen called. "Sarah, good morning. The Digital Communications Department head wants to meet you. 2 o'clock today work?" The new department was on a bright, modern floor. The manager, David, was a calm man in his 40s with a warm smile. "Sarah, great to meet you," he said, shaking my hand. "Your course instructors spoke highly of you. They say you're a promising talent." "Thank you," I blushed. "I'm really excited about this field." "It shows in your work. I reviewed your final project. Very creative approach to social media branding." We talked for over an hour about the department's plans, challenges, and growth opportunities. With every word, I felt more inspired. This was what I wanted to do. "Sarah, we have an opening for a digital communications specialist," David said. "The pay's modest for now, but there's room to grow. Interested?" "Absolutely," I said without hesitation. "Excellent. Submit your transfer request. Welcome to the team." At home, I told Tommy about my new job. He didn't fully get it, but bounced around the apartment, chanting, "Mommy's working, Mommy's working." That evening, Lisa called. "So what's the plan, friend?" she asked. "I'm set," I said, smiling. "Transferring to digital marketing." "Wow! What about your prove I'm still capable mission?" "I realized something," I said thoughtfully. "I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I just need to believe in myself and keep moving forward." 6 months later, everything had changed. The new department thrived, and I jumped into exciting projects, even leading one, a digital strategy for Taste Haven restaurants. Our team was fantastic, young, ambitious, eager to learn and experiment. David was a wise leader, valuing initiative while offering support. I'd changed too. My insecurity was gone. My eyes sparkled again. I wasn't afraid to share ideas or stand my ground. Most importantly, I learned to value myself and my time, balancing work and motherhood. Tommy and I started a tradition. Every night before bed, we shared our day's highlights. He told me about daycare, friends, and games. I shared office stories, simplified for a 4-year-old. That day, I was preparing for a big presentation. Our Taste Haven project had stellar results, and leadership wanted to showcase it company-wide. It was our department's first major project, with funding, staffing, and new clients on the line. I spent a week refining numbers, sharpening phrasing, curating visuals. David trusted me with the presentation, and I didn't want to let him down. The night before, I rehearsed in front of Tommy. He didn't understand, but nodded seriously and gave me a drawing, a bright sun over a house. "For you, Mommy," he said. "So you shine tomorrow like the sun." I hugged him tightly, a lump in my throat. My little wise man, my greatest strength. In the morning, I wore my favorite blue suit, finally fitting perfectly. I'd gotten back in shape. My hair was in a sleek, elegant updo. Makeup was subtle, but highlighted my eyes. In the subway, I caught my reflection and barely recognized the confident, radiant woman staring back. The main conference room was full. Every department, senior leadership, even the company owner, a rare attendee. A minute before starting, I reviewed slides on my tablet when a man stopped beside me. It was James, looking uneasy. "Hey, Sarah," he said. "Heard it's your big day." "Yup." I nodded, surprised by my calm. No anger, no resentment, just neutrality. "They say the project's a hit." He shifted awkwardly. I owe you an apology for what happened. It's fine, James." I cut him off gently but firmly. "That's behind us. I've got a presentation now, sorry." I walked past him into the room, shoulders squared. His apology didn't matter. Not now. Maybe one day we'd talk, but today was my day, my victory. David introduced me and the project. I stepped to the podium, scanned the room, and began. Confident, clear, with the quiet passion that persuades best. I outlined our strategy, results, and future potential. Slides flowed. Questions were sharp. My answers precise. Confidence surged, lifting me higher. It was exhilarating, knowing my craft, doing it well, seeing recognition in others' eyes. The room erupted in applause when I finished. David shook my hand. The CEO personally congratulated me. I accepted compliments with a grateful smile, but one thought dominated. I did it. I really did it. Afterward, colleagues from other departments approached with questions and collaboration ideas. Among them was Linda, visibly impressed. "Sarah, stellar work," she said. "We always knew you were talented." "Thanks, Linda." I smiled, noting the "we always knew." "I was thinking," she continued. "A group leader position is opening in marketing. Would you consider coming back? With a promotion, of course." I was stunned. I hadn't expected that. "That's flattering," I said after a pause. "But I'm happy where I am. I've found my place." She nodded with a knowing smile. "Fair enough. If you change your mind, let me know." As the room cleared, James approached again, more determined. "Sarah, I need to talk." "I'm listening," I said, calmly waiting. "I want to join your department," he blurted. "Digital marketing. I have experience, I learn fast. I heard you're expanding." I stared, surprised. "And you want me to—" "Put in a word with your manager," he said, with an awkward smile. "I know it's a lot to ask, given our history, but I really want to grow in this field." I considered it. James was skilled, and his experience could benefit the team. But, "You know, James," I gathered my papers and met his eyes. "You seemed smarter before, until I realized what strength and respect means." His face fell. "A good professional isn't just skills," I continued calmly. "It's respecting colleagues, valuing their contributions, working as a team." He looked down, silent. "Before asking for a transfer, ask yourself, are you ready to change? Our department values mutual respect and support. There's no room for building a career on others' ideas." I turned to leave, but he called after me. "Sarah, I get it, really. I've rethought a lot these months. Give me a chance to prove it." I paused, glancing back. Everyone deserves a second chance. Submit a formal transfer request. If it comes to me for review, I'll consider it. With that, I left the room, feeling a strange lightness. It wasn't revenge. It was closure. Justice, finally served. Outside, the spring sun shone, just like in Tommy's drawing. I tilted my face to its warmth and breathed deeply. 3 years ago, leaving for maternity, I feared losing myself, my professional identity. Returning, I did lose confidence for a while. But now I knew. Motherhood didn't make me less capable. It taught me patience, resilience, and focus on what matters. It taught me to believe in myself, even when no one else did. Those qualities, I realized, were as vital to my career as any skill. I texted Lisa. "Presentation nailed it. Cake this Saturday? Tommy'd love to see you, so would I." Then I found Helen's number in HR. I needed to thank her for that talk, for believing in me, for the chance to starting anew. Sometimes it's the best thing that can happen, not clinging to the past, but walking a new, challenging, authentic path. I headed to the subway, smiling at my thoughts. On a bench near the entrance sat a young woman with a stroller, young, frazzled, with tired circles under her eyes. I remembered myself 3 years ago, unsure, exhausted. "First kid?" I asked, stopping beside her. She nodded, surprised. Yeah, 3 months. It's tough. I thought it'd be easier. It's normal, I smiled. We all go through it. But you know what? You'll manage, and it'll make you stronger than you can imagine. She gave a shy smile. Thanks. Sometimes I feel I'll never get back to normal life, to work. You will, I said firmly. And you might even be a better professional than before. Just believe in yourself. She nodded gratefully, and I walked on, warmth spreading inside. The circle was complete. Someone once helped me believe in myself. Now I could do the same for others. The day was beautiful, and ahead lay an evening with Tommy, his hugs, his laughter, his endless questions. Tomorrow brought new tasks, new opportunities. I was ready for whatever the future held. Because I knew the most important thing. No one gets to define my worth. No one can say whether I'm smarter or not. Only I decide who I am and what I'm worth. That was the greatest lesson from these challenging months of returning.